From resisting the lies, Glasgow dispersal zones proposed, and this ties into your 15-minute cities and your 20-minute neighbourhoods, and all by design. And all along I've said, which is obviously a very unpopular comment, is do you notice when they got rid of the belt in schools, how things went tits up? I mean, honestly, seriously? Honestly. People don't get it. You know, there was a point up until the last 40 and a bit years where, you know what? Yeah, cheeky little fucking. And you got six of the best. Yeah, bloody heart. But, you know, rite of passage, blah, blah, blah. But it also told you about crossing lines and about a bit of responsibility. Yeah? No. You create chaos of which order has to kick in. Seriously. Anyway, stopping occasionally. Let's play this.
Now, a dispersal zone is set to be temporarily introduced by police in the city centre of Glasgow as part of a crackdown on crime and antisocial behaviour.
Think about that. I mean, historically, you've heard these phrases, these terms, temporarily, just in the meantime, just for the moment.
Introduced by police in the city centre of Glasgow as part of a crackdown on crime and antisocial behaviour. Starting in 3 weeks' time, officers will be able to ask groups of two and is set to be temporarily introduced by police.
Seriously, and history is a habit of repeating itself because people don't learn from it. And historically, people have been distracted and thus don't learn from it. And, you know, anyway.
Police in the city centre of Glasgow as part of a crackdown on crime and antisocial behaviour. Starting in 3 weeks' time, officers will be able to ask groups of two or more to leave the designated area if their behaviour.
And remember, how does that tie into, well, that protesting nonsense that I've always said, don't engage, seriously. But, you know.
Is impacting on the safety and well-being of others. Well, Hazel Martin.
Safety and well-being, because we're pushing towards a new age and cross legs and, you know, not a lot of empathy, and we're all going down some spiritual path or you know, a pathway. Honestly, so many people involved in this new age movement, as they look at their own countries turning to shit, believe it's some part of this spiritual transcendence, you know, as opposed to what the fuck is going on with my country. They actively engage in its destruction. You could go at this from so many angles, but, you know.
Into the city to find out more.
Dispersal zone powers are not new. They've been used across cities like Glasgow, Edinburgh and Aberdeen in an effort to curb antisocial behaviour, including being imposed specifically on bond.
I mean, don't you question, I keep saying this, in the last 40 years, this, outside of Northern Ireland, you know, 70s and, you know.
Fire night here and in the capital. The latest instalment will give police the power to ask groups of two or more to leave the designated area, banning them from returning for 24 hours.
That's about public.
And how will they do that? Through facial recognition, through the very chips on their phones, so, you know, and of course soon to be chip under their skin, but, you know, it's about how we get there, yeah?
The assurance, it's about fear of crime.
You destroy traditional family units, the male, the female, the father, the mother, you know, all the rest of it. You destroy all that, extended families. You encourage people through lack of work, etc., to go further than where they traditionally would bide, would stay. Intergenerationally, you destroy all that and so much more. You introduce the third world. You'll then tell most of the native locals, hey, can't get a job here locally, we're all global citizens, you'll have to fuck off. It's shredding of it. So how do you get there? Meanwhile, constantly saying to people, we're here to keep you safe.
It's about trying to make the city feel like the welcoming place that the city should.
Now remember, Glasgow, for example, what is it from memory recently? They're having to up the council tax and borrow money for no other reason than that, well, our new Scots. And remember, we're being sold their net, investments, and nothing could be further from the truth. And we keep getting told, look, we've got to do our bit. What, to destroy what the hell made us so successful as Western nations in the first place, and what, so many of us have realised we've not appreciated. We took it for granted. And because we took it for granted, it's going by the day, and you're being told, hey, look, anybody older than 20, what would they know? Flies in the face of anything to do with common sense. And up till about 40 years ago, most people grasped that. Knowledge, the intergenerational relationships, extended family, extended communities, most people knew within streets of who each and every one was, who they were. And 15-minute cities, zones within these cities, 40 years.
So that people can come in and go about their business, come to work, go shopping, etc. We took a lot of
And remember, councils will change how they do that every day. Oh, you'll be paying this for that. And apparently at some stage, a car over a certain weight, if it's not battery, this and blah, 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 or they're going to have to pay more. All these cameras will be ever increasing taxation to the point that you will own nothing. Own nothing. And all by design. Seriously. Oh, anyway, I'll leave you a link to this, Pish, but anyway, a share or two maybe, and I'll speak to you soon.